Hello, colleagues. My name is Daria Milyaeva. I'm head of International Relations Department. Our virtual coffee break is finished, so I think we could start with the second plenary session. We have two speakers today, Professor Tsung-Teng and Professor Sahra Hosseini. So today we are going to talk about learning activity, how for activities children and grandparents could better understand each other, and about impact of technologies on the sphere of education. You're welcome to ask questions in YouTube chat. And I'm happy to introduce first speaker, Professor of University of Taipei, Tsung-Teng Wang, with the topic Intergenerational Learning Activity. Professor Wang, you're open. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation. First of all, let me thank you all for coming here. I would like to thank this symposium for inviting me here today. Let me introduce myself. I am Tsung-Teng Wang from University of Taipei in Taipei, Taiwan. My major is motor development, and I used to be a volleyball player. As you can see on the screen, my topic today is intergenerational learning activity. Today I will separate for 4 parts to introduce my topic. The first one will be introduction. The second one will activity process, and I will introduce the questionnaire and the conclusion. In recent years, the aging of society has become a topic of global concern. According to my government point out that in the future, the proportion of the population over 65 years old in the total population will increase year by year. And it is estimated that it will be rise from 14.5% in 2018 to 2065 will be rise to 41.2%. That is about every 10 people, there are 4 elder people over 65 years old. It can be seen that how to improve the quality of life of the elder population and make them live with more dignity is the global of government all over the world. And in addition to the alienation, grandparents and grandchildren is also an issue worthy of concern. The third part will be grandparents are usually the first middle-aged people that children come into contact with. If we can increase the chance of good interaction between grandparents and the grandchildren, it will help our children to establish a positive view of the world. Therefore, the purpose of this activity was to...
Sorry, could you please switch the slides? Sorry, Professor, for interrupting you.
You mean I need to slowly?
You're still on page 1. Change slides, please.
The second one or further.
Second. This one?
I still see the first one.
First one. Oh, you still see the first one. Okay. So I just try to change it. Didn't show anything in the monitor, right?
I don't see the presentation, but if you like, I could download. Maybe it work. Now I can see the second slide. Activity process.
Oh, okay. Okay. So can you see the purpose?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, remind me. I didn't show the PowerPoint. And the purpose of this activity was to allow the grandparents to use game activity to guide their grandchildren to participate in activities. In addition, through intergenerational curriculum activity to let children understand themselves and their grandparents, so that children could get closer and respected their grandparents. The second part will be activity process. Before this curriculum, I just used 3 days workshop to training my assistant teacher. After 3 days workshop, the assistant teacher assistant will understand this activity purpose. And I just lead the teacher assistant go to the kindergarten, and we have 10 pairs, grandparents and grandchildren. And we will take 4 courses, spend 50 minutes each time. The 4 courses will be including freehand games and the ball game and the hula hoop games and the circle games. And I use a facility will be balls, balance beam, hula hoop, and the cones. After the 4 courses activity, they will take a very short time to answer the question about their certification for this activity. So I will show some picture and some movie to all of you. So I take just a 3 days workshop to training my teacher assistant. After 3 days workshop, we just invite 10 pairs grandparents and grandchildren to join the circumstance curriculum activity. And I use the ball and the hula hoop and the balance beam and the cone. So the questionnaire just like this showing the screen. And I will share the activity movie about maybe 30 minutes to share with you. Our activities will spend 7 minutes to warm up and spend 10 minutes for practice the movement and spend 25 minutes to play the game and spend 8 minutes to cool down. As you saw in the film, the movie, the cool down we will we will do some stretch and did some massage for the grandparent. So totally we spend maybe 50 minutes for each course. And the activity including 4 different kind of games. The first one will be free hand games. The free hand games will including balance and relay. And the ball games including play with the ball and bowling game. And the third one will be hula hoop games, like the narrow activity or throw the hula hoop into the grandchildren, from grandparent to grandchildren. And the last one will be circle games. Circle games including 4 different kind of activity, like balance spin and up and down and the hula hoop and the dribbling, dribbling the ball. So after the activity, we just have a questionnaire for all of the grandparents. And I think their action will be positive. Like the question 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6, we ask the grandparent delay satisfied with freehand activity, board activity, circles activity, or all of the activity, and how do they think satisfied with the instructor, and all of the grandparents have the positive reaction. They feel a very satisfaction about this activity. And about question 2, question 7, and question 8, how do they think? How did they satisfied with the hula hoop activity, and how did they satisfy with teacher assistance? And if they are related activity next time, do they willing to participate again? I think most of them, the answer will be very satisfaction, and just one grandparent just think satisfaction about these 3 questions. So conclusion, I think this activity really enhance the relationship between the grandparents and the grandchildren, and become more intimate. Everyone was very happy to play and learn, and successfully achieve the purpose of activity.
Professor Wang, many thanks for your presentation. It was highly interested to get acquainted with the practices of integration of younger children and the grandparents. Could you please tell me how many participants were integrated in this project?
You mentioned about the grandparent and the grandchildren, right?
Mm-hmm.
10 pairs. 10 grandparents and 10 grandchildren.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And it was realized in the city, or it was first step, it was realized at the university?
You mean my university?
Yes, yes.
About you mean the project?
Yes.
Yes, I think my university have supported my project, and for next year, we will have a more budget to pour into the new curriculum. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We will have a new curriculum for new grandparents and grandchildren.
Many thanks, Professor. And we have one more question by our colleague. What is your attitude to games without rules? So to games that are invested by children and the older people, adults together. What is your attitude?
My attitude, I think because I have mention about because in this generation, I think the grandparent didn't have more time and more chance to company with the grandchildren. So use this activity, I think I just create more chance and more time to give them the opportunity to get together in this activity. So my attitude will be is happy to have the chance to give them the opportunity to get together.
Okay, Professor, many thanks for your answer. I think we have finished with questions. So I would like to introduce our second speaker. I'm happy to introduce Sahra Hosseini, Tampere University, Finland, with the topic how to use technology to enhance quality of content in the modern city. Sahra, you're welcome. The floor is yours. I could switch the slides if it would be convenient.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my presentation. I am Sahra from Tampere University in Finland. I have two PhD. Shall we go to the next slide? Okay, thank you. I have two PhD degrees in instructional technology and information technology field, and working as a researcher at the university and also as a consultant for designing digital services. I'm going to talk about the use of technology to enhance the quality of content in a modern society. Please, next slide. Okay, I want to start my talk with a claim that although technology has changed many aspects of life, it is offering a lot of facilities in communication and also in presenting information, but sometimes, and unfortunately often, it can fail digital services if it is not used in a proper way. Now, what is proper way and why it happens? Please, next. Okay, just I want to bring one example, and just remember that plan of the city of Moscow was made around 1793, about many years ago. Since then, roads and transportation technologies are developed to help people to move around the city, inside the city, to reach their destination faster, easier, more economically, and more satisfactory. Next, please. People are traveling in the city from their home to many places to receive their services like shopping, medical center, schools, university, and offices. They are moving every day. And they have now, because of technology of transportation, they have many options to move in the city, like metro, buses, trams, bicycle, or walking for traveling. Now imagine what happens if we keep all the paths, all the roads, and buy new and used advanced vehicles. We have train and we don't have rail station. we don't have railway. We have very advanced cars, but our roads are not properly convinced with that kind of technology. It is actually happening in these days because technology is moving very fast, but other needs, other activities still coming slow in traditional way. So it is the reason that I claim that technology can fail digital services, and properly, sometimes we see that properly is not used. Next slide, please. During pandemic, services and particularly educational services are relying on internet and technology. We can see that, and many studies, researchers are trying to find technological barriers, and institutes are trying to make more facilities, more speed for internet. Programmers are writing many advanced programs, and in these 2 years, we can see that all technology experts are trying to solve these problems. But still we can see the result of research that many users, many learners are not satisfied with technology usage. Why it happens? Next slide, please. Now, there is a question. Main question is that all of us, how many times did we fall in trouble when we wanted to use technology to receiving a digital service? It's about educational environment and also city environment, because every services that we are getting is from digital services. It's from technology. And how many times we get failed and become angry, become disappointed? Why it happens? Next, please. The answer that we can say, we can claim, is that technology is effectively used only when technology is selected or adapted to the content and the user properly. In fact, we should know that how now the next question comes, that how do we use technology improperly then? Next slide. Technology should be integrated in content and pedagogy. It is the claim that Mishra and Kohler in 2006 said that if we want to use technology improperly, we should have integration of technology into pedagogy and content. I think all of you are familiar with this model that TPC. Okay, it's a knowledge that Mishra and Kohler said that it is the required knowledge for integrating content, pedagogy, and technology. And it is promising for helping learners to understand and learn faster and more effectively. We are having or introducing our model as technological pedagogical content design based on the TPAC that Mishra and Kohler in 2006 introduced. They introduced as a knowledge, but we are introducing as a design, that how to design technology in by integrating technology into content. In our model, we are giving promises that we can have instruction to design technology for integration. Next slide, please. In our model, what TPC design is a practical and systematic instruction for designing technology. When we say content, we mean that the subject matter that can be linear or non-linear. It means that pedagogy, including learning theories, learning style, and everything about learners and teaching method and presenting method also. And when we say technology, we mean that our videos, our text, our programs, podcasts, and everything. And now when we say TPC, we mean integrating of these three kinds of techniques, not just the knowledge. Now we are introducing as a techniques or skills. Here, because this model we have worked a lot on that, but because of lack of time, I just explain how to integrate technology into content to enhance the quality of content in this presentation. Next slide, please. Based on our TPC design, we suggest about content that we have instruction about that, how to select the content, what is the content criteria that we have to consider, and what kind of content we select. In fact, materials, how to select materials, which criteria we have for materials. And also, we answer that how to present the selected content. In fact, how to use technology for presenting the content. Next slide, please. In this diagram, we are, I'm sorry, the last one. Yeah. We have, I think, one slide. Okay, no problem. In here, we see that constructed content. We should know that each subject has its own construct. For example, physics, chemistry, mathematics, they have their own construct that can be linear or non-linear. The construct is like a concept map of the content. It helps us to have reasonable sequence of content. We usually now we have concept map tools for writing and drawing these kinds of construct by technology. We should know that sometimes in a particular subject, we have different construct. For example, while we want to say the process of starting war in a country, we may have to have a linear sequence, but when we want to explain underlying factors of the war, it should be parallel or non-linear construct of content. It is the way that we have to have a reasonable to organize the content. Next slide, please. For selecting and organizing the content, we should respect the user mind, learner's mind. We need to consider many of characteristics of our users, what kind of skills they have, which age they are, adult, preschool, or they are parents, they are old people, what kind of need they want, they need, what kind of expectations they have, what kind of experiences they have, what is their cultural background, what are the learning style. And we know that many of failures that we see that the use of technology is because of learning style. Some people are learning from visual, some people are learning from audio recorded, or some learners or users are more comfortable with text. We have to consider this, what kind of interest they have. It is something that we have to consider all these needs of our users or our learners. Next slide, please. Now, based on the user's diversity and construct of the content, we decide which material should be selected. We have different kind of materials: text, interactive information, images, charts, tables. We should know that for every subject matter, for every kind of users, maybe one of these materials are more suitable and convenient. So we can select by very in a smart way. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. We suggest having multiple materials to cover all different kinds of users or learners. We should be aware that each materials are suitable for particular subject matter, or knowing about some visual designing rules also help us. Next slide. There are many rules for designing materials to present. I just say one of pedagogical or psychological rule for presenting a material, and it is Gestalt. And you know all these principles of Gestalt, that how it helps us to get the mind of learners or audience to make focus on what we want, what is our purpose. So when we want to design technology, we have to consider these psychological principles. Next slide, please. In our model, as a technological pedagogical content design, we have some suggestion for presenting principles that is some, especially for presenting the content through the website. We used it in our project, in some project in Finland. One of these are sensible classification. We should organize the content and select titles, subtitles very carefully, very reasonable, and but for not just putting material as a miss in every page. And it is one of the reasons that people are not able to find what they want in websites. Usually, many studies have done that. That understood that people are not able to find, and user experience research usually findability is very important for someone who is using a digital service. The next is simplicity. Simplicity refers that content should be present very focused. A page should not be missed by so many things. Very simple, very focused. Meaningfulness is the other criteria, that every text and visual material should be purposeful. Unfortunately, especially many websites, we can see that a lot of materials are that many of them are just putting there for attraction, and it makes distraction instead of attraction. And minimality, at the same time, they are completing each other. When we have purposeful materials, text, visual materials, minimality means that we should omit something that is might distract our learner, our users. And also feedback. Nowadays, programmers are trying to make interactive information, as it was presented by one of our presenters today, that engagement is very important, technological engagement. Technology is trying to make more and more interaction with computer, especially that in pandemic times, period of time, we can see that people have missed having interaction with computer. So it is very important we get some feedback and make some interaction by users. Next slide, please. Yes, TPC design, or technological pedagogical content design, is one integrative user-centric design with more focus on content and pedagogy. We are bringing pedagogy into design. In the last studies and designs, human-centric design has suffered, and it has worked a lot, and psychological also. But we are using pedagogical principles and bringing that to the design. And we believe that TPC design is promising to enhance the quality of content to reach users' satisfaction. It is applicable to design and present the content in both educational and non-educational environment. With our view, we can see that every time that users are sitting in front of computer getting information, we are involved with some pedagogical principles. Thank you for your attention. I'm ready for your comment and questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hosseini. Many thanks for your report. I have a question. What do you think? How much time will it pass till we learn to choose to use the proper technologies for the educational process?
Yes, for sure. For every steps of this kind of design, we need to have some activities. For example, in the first step, we have to know and do user experience about gathering information about users, defining our users, who are there and what is their interest, what is their age, what is their background. It needs some times, but in educational environment, it is maybe easier because we have defined age and defined group, cultural, usually they are the same cultural. But when we are saying about digital service, we don't know, maybe 12 years old or 90 years old is looking at that, and it is more difficult. I think that this kind of design for educational environment can be faster because it can be more focused, and our learners are the most important. We can start with them and we can predict what they want and how they want to get information or interact with computer.
Okay, thank you. And one more question. What do you think? How to choose a proper technology tool when you work with a group of students who has different mind and different psychological, they have some psychological difference. What is the key? How to choose a proper tool?
Yes, for this, for example, we have students with this different kind of learning style. We cannot avoid it. So we usually suggest different multiple material, as I said. That I mean that nowadays, for example, in website, we have some podcasts for someone who is learning easier by audio, and we have some graph for someone who is easier with visual material, and we have some text. And nowadays, many of unfortunately websites or digital services have text, although many people don't want to read text. We suggest have podcasts, have visual materials, and also text. So users can select according to their own learning style.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sahra. And we have one more question. Could you please name the key terms of digital service integration or technology integration in the psychological content. And the second one connected with the first one, how to guarantee the linear process of integration of digital services into the pedagogical content.
Okay, the first that how digital, you mean, I want to just clarify under my understanding. You mean what digital service means the first time? Digital service is everything, every time we are sitting in front of computer,
Yes.
laptop or any mobile, we are involved with getting service.
How to understand that they are integrated?
Okay, integration.
Yes, the main terms that they are integrated. How to understand, yes, the key points that they are integrated.
Okay, by meaning of integration means that technology cannot be used separately. For example, nowadays, still what we can see that teachers are giving presentations, slides, very separated of their students, very separated of pedagogy. They just use technology because of technology. It is something that is not integrated. When they are teaching, I have been teaching for 20 years with students, and I was looking at them when they use some PowerPoint, for example. They were talking separately, they were teaching separately, and they were using PowerPoint separately, and it was not connected together. They were not overlapping their teaching with that. They were just using technology because they wanted to use technology as something that is advanced and something is attractive, something is modern. They wanted to act to be modern. And still I can see that many teachers are doing the same. They want to not be backward. They use technology, they use PowerPoint, but when they are using, after that, they start the evaluation, they start their activity. It is not exactly what they want. And unfortunately, for example, I have seen that when we are asking teachers to use technology, teacher is teaching mathematics, but she or he is using PowerPoint. PowerPoint is not integrated with mathematics. I was telling them, okay, these technologies more distracting students than being useful for a student. So integration means that you use technology that is suitable for the content and your audience or learners. Technology means that they should be overlapped with together. Every technology is not just good because of the technology. It is something that also Mishra and Kohler said, that technology, for using technology separated from the content or separated from the learner, is not useful. Not only not useful, but it takes money, it takes time, it takes distraction of the students also. As we see in many classes, even at the university, when the teacher is using PowerPoint, students are sleeping because they think that completely disconnected from the teacher. And when teachers start to have some eye contact, then students get aware. It means that that technology is just disturbing, not useful. It is the meaning of that it should be integrated with method of teaching.
And one, I think, last question that we have at our YouTube chat. What do you think digital reality help learners to get integrated, or it prevent learners from getting involved to the process? What is your opinion?
Through digital service, you mean through, for example, a website, or in the presenting class? It is different. For example, when we are presenting and using technology, the teacher has more options to get students involved. But when, for example, in pandemic, we have this problem that making students engaged is more difficult. For that, many designers are using interactive technology. It means that when you look at those techniques that students are using game learning, for example, how they are, we can see that how they are interested, how they have interaction with the game. Why we are not using that kind of interaction in education? If we borrow that kind of technique for educational purpose, we can be successful and we can keep this interaction of students and not making them bored, tired, or something.
Okay, thank you, Professor. I would like to thank Professor Wang and Professor Hosseini for inspiring presentations. The generation is getting older, and it's highly important to develop educational programs to involve them to modern life. Our university has a project, Silver University, that consists of educational programs for senior citizens of Moscow, and they can enjoy a full-fledged life in the modern city. And the last year with the COVID pandemic was really challenging for the educational systems, and countries have to implement distant programs. And the use of technology was no longer a recommendation, but everyday practice. But the technology still need to be adapted for the educational process. And today we had a chance to discuss these two highly important topics. And many thanks for Professor Wang and Professor Hosseini for their presentations. Now I think we could go to the lunch break, unfortunately virtual, and we will come back at 2:30. Many thanks again for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.